You have questions? America's #1 business coach has answers. It's your Broda from Minnesota. Here's another edition of Ask Clay Anything on the Thrive Time Business Coach Radio Show.
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation. I am fired up today, and it's not just because Landon Roberts, number 52 for the Patriots, switched from linebacker to fullback and dominated. But no, seriously, that is why I'm fired up today. I just love that we have another injury, and I'm sure the show's going to come out after the season's over, but yet another injury. So Bill Belichick, the master, switches a linebacker to fullback. And this dude is just clearing a path. He's like a bulldozer, knocking other linebackers out of the way who are not used to being hit by other linebackers. And it was a thing of beauty.
He was destroying people.
Yeah, it makes sense
awesome.
too, Clay, because all the years I played football, if somebody went both ways,
Yeah.
offense and defense. A lot of times they were a linebacker and a fullback. That goes hand in hand.
And Paul,
They're both nuts.
You're a big football guy.
I am.
Think about this. I was watching their first drive of the game. Again, I don't know the actual stat in front of me. They had for the first 15 minutes of the game, I think the Patriots had the ball like for 13 minutes of it.
Yeah,
That's
called
for Devin. You were
domination.
watching with me. That quarter, man, they would just tick down the clock every time going down to the final 2 seconds before hiking it.
Yeah.
Just
Time of
methodical. Just, oh, my gosh. It was Tom Brady hands off to whoever, and then he gets 6 yards.
Yeah.
Tom Brady hands off to whoever, and he gets 6 yards. Then Tom Brady in the game, did you hear about his block?
He threw a block. I saw that.
He got fired up.
Good
I think he
block.
lost his mind and for a second thought, I'm not Tom Brady. I'm a Landon Roberts. And homeboy tried to throw a block, and he did it.
He did it.
Oh, and
Yeah,
then
great.
he lost his mind. He got all caught up in the run game, and he's like, well, I'm going to run it in too. And he made a dash for the corner of the end zone, and he gets about 2 yards out. Devin, did you see this play?
I did not see this play, but it sounds
Oh, my gosh, it's so funny.
magnificent.
He's about 2 yards away from the end zone, and he's coming into contact with linebackers, and he fakes left, but the announcers were giving him a hard time because he faked. He tries to juke, but Kurt Warner, who was a quarterback who's also very slow as a player, he says you have to have some kind of speed at all, otherwise a fake doesn't really work.
Doesn't work at
So
all.
Tom tries to fake, and the other linebacker, you could tell he almost felt bad for him, just falls on him because he couldn't do anything. And Tom gets up, and he's just laughing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Well, anyway, I have fun playing the game of business. It's fun for me. I like it. Probably the way Tom Brady likes football. I know you love accounting and helping your clients.
Yeah.
And so we've got some thrivers out there that have quite a few questions for you. And we're going to do this. This will be kind of the rapid fire show. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then we'll see how quickly and succinctly we can answer the question.
You bet.
And then we'll do another one, and then we're going to pick on Charles Koloff from time to time to tap into his entrepreneurial brain as well. So here we go.
Let's get it.
First question. Are there any common legal tax shelter vehicles or accounts that I should be aware of as an employee?
As an employee.
Yes.
Yeah, that last little part makes it tough because probably 90% of the tax code is written for people in business for themselves. So anymore, being an employee, there really are very few tax planning opportunities. And so what I, obviously with the world that I'm in and what I try to preach to people is you got to own your own business. I mean, because if you're working for somebody else, they're paying you about a third of what you're worth. So there really are none. I mean, put money in your 401k. Start investing maybe in not only in traditional investments but real estate, because you can get some time value of money. You know, you're getting to deduct the interest and the depreciation at the same time. But there's a few.
Now, I have a quick, I want to rightly divide what Paul just said because I don't disagree, but I do want to add a little caveat.
Let's get it.
According to Inc., 96% of people fail in business. 96%. And if you're scared of 4 a.m. wake-up calls, and you're scared of not having a day off for Charles, how long did you go without having a day off when you started Koloff Fitness?
Oh, I have no idea, but a long.
More than a year?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
2 years?
Oh, yeah.
5 years?
No, probably not. I probably started I take a day off or we go on a trip or something.
Maybe after 3 years?
Probably 3 years. You're literally
So
eating it.
You were sick, but you still showed up?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
So if you're out there and you're somebody who likes to celebrate 102 days off a year, you know, the day before Thanksgiving
80-hour
and
work
Thanksgiving,
weeks
and
just for 5 years. That's
yeah,
it.
when you're self-employed, you get to choose whatever 80 hours a week you want to work.
Yep.
And so I will tell you, we've had some people who've come back to my office after leaving to become self-employed, and they're like, can I come back, please?
Yes.
Because they're like, I don't.
I've had it.
Yeah, it happens a lot. So just be careful before you. I do agree with what he said about the tax advice, but I would also say, if you are not ready for the 80-hour work week,
You better love what you do.
if you want to play linebacker on the Patriots and you're worried about getting bruised, don't go on the field.
That's right.
The best thing you can do is just do not get on the field. Don't. If it's like fan appreciation night and they announce, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to play linebacker for the next 2 plays, come on down. Don't go down there.
I'm in, though.
If you're afraid of bruising. Okay, can you help me understand the 1031 exchange? The listener asks, Paul Hood,
Yes.
can you help me understand the 1031 exchange? What is it?
Okay, Section 1031 exchange is in the area of what's called a like-kind exchange. So it was put in the Internal Revenue Code that says, okay, Clay, you have a tractor, I have a tractor, we trade tractors, we don't have to pay taxes on it. But it's morphed into a three-party thing to where I have a tractor and I sell my tractor to this guy, and he has a tractor and he sells it to you. So like-kind exchange just says if you're selling something and you're buying something else that's like-kind, real estate, rental property, whatever, you can defer your gain from the first sale into the acquired property. Now, there's certain stipulations. You have to identify your replacement asset or price. Typically in real estate is where it happens.
So if I sell a house for, let's say I have a $200,000 house, and if I don't take the profits from selling the $200,000 house and roll it into the purchase of another piece of real estate,
Correct.
I have to pay gains taxes.
That's right.
How long do I have to own the first house before I can sell it at a profit?
Well, that's irrelevant. You sell it immediately. You get the first house. So if you sell a property for it doesn't matter how long you own it, unless it's your personal residence.
Yep.
And then there's some exclusions there. But if I'm selling a house or a rental house, and I don't want to pay taxes on it, but I just want to sell this one, but I want to get a different one. So what you do is you sell it, but you use a facilitator. You can't touch the money. And then you have 90 days to identify the replacement property and another 90 days to acquire the replacement property. And it gets complicated. You can have what's called a reverse like-kind exchange where you buy the replacement property prior to selling the first property. But all it is you're rolling. So if I'm selling it for $200,000 and my gain is $100,000, I have to buy another $200,000 property to roll the entire gain over to it.
This listener now asks, what type of information do lenders want to see before they will lend you money on an investment property?
Okay. They want to know, one, do you have skin in the game? Two, do you have any experience? And, if you don't have experience, then it's a little harder sell. They want just like they're going to go at it as if they're investing their own money.
Got it.
And so they're going to go and say, is it the right place? What are you putting into it? How much work does it have to have? And what can you rent it for, the cash flow and all of that?
I have also found, and you can tell me if I'm incorrect because you're a CPA and this is what you do, I have found that most of the time banks want to see a personal balance sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Like a net worth statement that is certified, audited, right? They want to see that. They also want to see your credit score, and they also want 20% down.
That's right.
And they also want to know, can you finance the property should things go bad?
Right.
Right? I mean, if you don't have a renter.
Yeah, so what they want is, of course, best case scenario for a bank is they want to know if the property just goes kaput, then they can come. You have other assets on the side that they can come get. But that's why they want you to have money into it, because if they have a house, if you buy a property for $100,000 and they loan you $80,000, in theory, if they repossess it, they can sell it for at least $80,000 to get their money back.
Next question from the listener: what are the most common or main types of financing available for new investors?
Financing for new investors.
What are the most common
in
or
real
main
estate
types of financing available for new real estate investors? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the same thing. There's some SBA type situations. There's banks they typically are going to go 75%. I do a lot of owner carry now that I'm on the selling side. And so we'll use when I was buying properties, a lot of times I'd have the owner carry it because, again, it's a tax advantage to them not to get all their money up front.
Can you explain what owner carry is now that you're on the selling side, just so people can understand that terminology?
Sure. So I started off in it in what's called seller finance mortgages. I had a bunch of condos, and the weird thing is people have extra money during tax season, and if they're not, if they're not getting boob jobs, maybe they're buying real estate, because I've got a client that's in that business. He said that's what they spend their refunds on.
Real quick, we know the same man.
Yes.
This is true.
He is great.
This just in. Okay, continue.
Okay.
I'm
So-
just validating. That
Yeah.
wasn't just a hyperbole. That is a real thing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So for me, I would have a condo that was probably worth, $35,000, and I could sell it. If I was selling it just with a realtor, I could sell it to somebody for $40,000 and have them give me $2,000 down, and I would carry the note on a 20-year amortization, and they would make payments to me, and I would, maybe make 8-10% interest, and then if they defaulted, they typically would come back to me within 6 months and say, here, will you take this back? And then I could just do it again. Now, I've morphed into most of my properties are sold to one couple, and because I got tired of taking them back and everything, I made my money, I did my thing, and now I'm making the interest on it. So I'm making a spread on the interest, plus I'm getting a little bit of profit as I go.
You keep selling the properties to the same couple?
No, different people.
Different people. Oh, different people. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I thought you said same
Well,
couple.
now I've got 35 condos I've sold to one person now, and they're just making the payment, so they're not going to give it up. They're not one that will churn it. Prior to them, I sold those many, many, many times.
The next question our listener has is, how do you have confidence in your estimation of the value for a home once it has been repaired, like once you've bought a house and you want to flip it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'd like to tee off on this, and then we'll move into it. What you do is please don't do this. Do not buy a property in an area where you're not familiar with it.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just going to do an example. I live in Broken Arrow, so let's just do this. We'll go, I'm going to look up 1925 West Memphis in Broken Arrow. I'm looking up the address in Broken Arrow. If you live there, I'm sorry for putting your name on blast, but I did live there for a portion of my life, so I'm going to cue it up here. So it's 1925 West Memphis. I see it. There it is. Oh, man, that tree is big now. That's a big tree. Shunda, that's a big tree. But you look it up here, and Zillow will real quickly tell you what the house is, what they estimate it to be worth. Now, some people say, man, Zillow's always too high. Some people say it's always too low. But it'll give you an estimate of what the house is worth. And so you look it up. You click on it, you look it up. But if you're not familiar with the area, you run yourself a big risk of not understanding the dynamics of the neighborhood.
That's right.
Because if the neighborhood is now hood, that's a problem.
That is.
Or if the neighborhood's now great, that's a cool thing. So as an example, like if you were to buy the Mayo Hotel back in the day, which I've been told was purchased for $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, because downtown Tulsa was doing poorly, and it had sat vacant forever. But if you knew the knowledge that the Vision 2025 had just passed, our big plan to rejuvenate Tulsa, to build the gathering place, to put in the low water dam, to build the BOK, and you knew that this dilapidated part of Tulsa that had been, remember how vacant Tulsa was forever?
Absolutely.
If you knew this, you would be a big buyer on the vacant downtown Tulsa. So a buddy of mine, John Snyder, he picked up the old YMCA building. Homeboy started buying, I think he bought like 6% or something of downtown Tulsa. But then one of my biggest clients, Maurice Canbar, who invented Sky Vodka, that homeboy, Maurice Canbar, look that guy up. Maurice Canbar, the inventor of Sky Vodka, he bought 26% of downtown Tulsa in a week.
Wow.
26%, because he knew the area. So he bought the Atlas Life building for nothing because it was vacant. These things were vacant. Then he cleaned it up, sold it to the Marriott Hotel. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Good stuff.
You got to know the area. So you say, how do you have confidence? You got to know the area. I mean, Paul, don't you have to kind of get in the parking lot and look around and see what's around it?
What I've done, Clay, in the past is, so you typically comps are based on square footage, price per square footage. And so what we would do is look for homes that I could buy that are 36, less than $40 a square foot, but the area was selling for, $85 to $90 a square foot at a minimum. And based on what we knew we needed to put into them, that was our parameter. And because that we could buy a house at $35 a square foot, put $50,000 into it, turn around and sell it at $85, $90 a square foot, and put 40, 50 grand in our pocket. So you can quantify it just like anything else.
Paul, we have time for one more question before you have to go to your super important meeting.
Get it?
So here we go. He writes, I purchased a personal primary residence in March of 2019. The value has increased significantly,
right?
And I'm considering selling. What do I need to know about capital gains tax?
Well, you just got to know that if that was your personal residence, what they'll do is if you're single, it's $250,000 exclusion for selling your personal residence if you've lived there for 2 years. If it's less than 2 years, then that $250,000 is indexed. In other words, if you've been there a year, there's $125,000 of gain you can exclude. If you've been there for 6 months, then it's whatever half of $125,000, or what, $70,000 or $60,000, $70,000 gain. So they index the gain if you don't live there the entire period. So unless it's in a year's time has gone up more than 125, and if you're married, that's 125 for each of you. Sell that bad boy and put the money in your pocket. You pay no capital gains tax.
Paul, if somebody goes to your website, hoodcpas.com,
yes, sir,
and they schedule a consultation, you give everybody a free copy of Warren Buffett's book, Snowball.
We do.
Why?
Well, so in this world, we live in the greatest country on the planet, but we don't teach our system of economics. We teach people how to get a job, be a good technician. And Warren Buffett's just one of those guys that thinks outside the box. And we teach people to think outside the box, to think different than your neighbor, different than your family, different than your college professors. And so that is a book. You can either use it as a doorstop because that sucker's huge, or if you read through that, you're going to get a perspective on life, different parts of life, that's going to open your mind. Because like what we said before, is your best choices, your best decisions has gotten you where you are today. And so you need help. If you're going to try to lose weight, I think you call Charles Cole on his group because you need help. If you're going to grow a business, then you need to call Clay Clark and his group because you're going to need help. If you want to keep more of what you're making, then you call us because we're going to help you change those choices that you're going to make.
Paul, at this year's Christmas party at Elephant in the Room, we have some expert stylists there.
Yeah.
And I thought, what better way to celebrate the Christmas pageantry than to round up experts? You know, you're an expert in accounting. Charles is an expert in fitness. We've got hair experts. Boom. So we did the haircut Olympics to see who could cut someone's hair the fastest.
Oh, wow.
And the best. And this is what I ended up with here. This is what I ended up with. And they chopped this mop down in I want to say 7 minutes. Look at that. Ooh. And 7 minutes. And I did not win. My stylist did a great job. But so if you're looking for a speed mop chop, Elephant in the Room, that's not our thing. We normally take 30 minutes.
Sure.
And I think you can't rush a good haircut. Really, you can't rush. You can try.
With my hair, you can, brother.
But with it's going to take about a 30-minute consultation with you, right?
Sure.
You can't. It's about is it a 30-minute consultation, or how long of a free consultation do you offer?
We give an hour for free.
An hour. Not a speed cut.
Not a speed cut. This is dig deep. Ask whatever question you got.
Well, Paul, we're going to end with a boom.
All right.
Charles, are you ready to end with a boom?
Yes.
Devin, are you feeling it?
Let's do it.
Here we go. And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
My name is Janet Ramos, and I am from Amarillo, Texas. So I heard about the conference through Clay's podcast, and I learned about Clay through our church. He came to speak at our church. The atmosphere here at the conference is very high energy. I mean, they're playing music. You walk in at 6:45 in the morning. You're still kind of dragging, and there's a band playing, and it's just really loud. People are talking, they're applauding, they're welcoming you. So it's very high energy here. I really enjoyed Clay's presentation style. I know business meetings can be very long, drawn out, and boring, but his energy is really high. He keeps you intrigued. He keeps you engaged. He's very busy with the audience, and so it's just been interesting from beginning to end. There's not one dull moment. The most valuable thing I've learned so far is just to implement, and a little thing such as Google reviews goes a long way. And so really just planning your time, breaking it all down, making time for the F6 in your life, and just really implementing it and sticking with the program. If someone decides not to come, they're missing out on, number one, just a really great conference. I mean, I'm learning so much, I'm intrigued, but two, lots of valuable information that I'm not a business owner, but there's lots of information that I can just apply to my day-to-day life in general as a mom and as a wife and as a working professional. So it's just great. You're getting a great deal for it, and you're meeting lots of good people, and you're kind of just taking in everybody's advice, kind of seeing how it's worked for them, how they're implementing things, and just learning how to just be better as a person.
Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.